We are here today with Tina Nowatschin, and she is part of our More Mountain Moments with the Bavins exhibit that's on right now until April 19th. And she's come in today to tell us a little bit about herself and about the beautiful artwork she does. Hi Tina, thank you for coming in today.
Thanks for having me.
Can you start off by telling us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, I grew up in Banff. I live in Invermere now. My partner is Ryan Bavin, the glassblower. And I went to the Alberta College of Art, got a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Fiber Arts, but my interest is mostly, originally going into art school was drawing, and then so I did a bunch of printmaking in art school. And was fortunate to do a few residencies in the last little while with Ryan. So our first one we did in just outside of Seattle at Pilchuck Glass School, and it was printmaking using glass plates. And then we went to Hawaii a couple times through a contact we made in Seattle and did lithography at the University of Hawaii.
Cool. So you create lithography and vitreography prints. Can you explain the difference between the two?
Okay, so the prints on my right here, these are lithography prints.
Yep.
So those we did, you create your image on limestone.
Mm-hmm.
And the process is pretty complicated, but it has to do with etching the surface of the limestone so that you have areas that will grab onto ink and areas that won't.
Okay.
And so you sort of utilize they call it the hydrophilic properties of the limestone, which means it likes to absorb water. And then so your drawing medium is like waxy grease crayons. They call it a grease crayon. And so what that does, it blocks the limestone from absorbing water.
Okay.
So that they call it hydrophobic. It's water hating. And then so once you do, so use that to chemically etch very microscopically your image. Mm-hmm. So when you go to print, you have to constantly be wiping your image with water in between rolling the ink, and the ink will stick to the etched parts of the stone, and the water will be drawn to the negative, so the negative part of the image.
Okay.
And so you roll on ink as many times as you need to, and you keep getting the stone wet, and then once you've built up enough ink, you put paper on it, and so the paper is always soaked in water first as well.
Okay.
And then there's a special roller with a squeegee that'll do the print when you're ready to print. I don't know if that's pretty complicated to explain. I don't know if that explains it well, but that's sort of the 101.
Okay.
And then these prints were made on the glass plates, which is more of it's like a stamp. It's like a physically carved into the glass.
Okay.
And so you either, for this series, this was where the ink is pushed into the incised image, which is carved into the glass, and then you wipe the surface off clean, and then you print it.
Right.
So it's the positive of the image. And then this set of prints was done in the opposite, which is called, so this is called intaglio, and this is called relief printing. And so some people might be familiar with lino cutting, where you cut in, or wood cutting. You can do it with stone too, where you carve right into it, roll ink on top, so the carving ends up being the negative, and the surface is the positive. And so you can do both of those with the glass plate. I don't know if that makes sense.
What tool are you using to carve into the glass?
So we did a number of different things. So the glass plate here, this is window float glass or window glass.
Okay.
And the first thing we did was sandblasting, and so they have a photo emulsion that we use, which is similar to making a silkscreen image,
okay,
where you expose the image with a transparency that you photocopied your image onto the photosensitive medium. They call it resist. So then that can get then you wash that out. So what happens is everything that's exposed is the negative,
okay,
or the positive of the image. that washes out and the rest of it becomes solid, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So then what you have is a transferable it's a resist, kind of like if you could also tape or use a vinyl sticker process where you cut into that manually.
Okay.
So this photoresist is like, then you get a more crisp image, like you could use photography or black and white drawings or whatever. So you put that on once you've washed out the image, put that on and then it blocks off everything you don't want to cut.
Okay.
And then it exposes the plate where you want your image and then you sandblast as deep as you want.
Gotcha.
And so after that, you can actually go back in and I did a bit of hand scratching with like a diamond scribing tool. And then you can also use, I did some wet stuff with like a little burr grinder, like a Dremel. And then with the glass, you could also do some hand cutting with, we had total access to their cold shop that you would use on any kind of glass blown work, where you can just you can cut using stone cutting wheels.
Cool.
And so Ryan did a bunch of that. And yeah, so that's that.
So you can have some precision there then. You're able to do pretty detailed images?
Yeah, you can. It's still more of a black and white. There's not a lot of opportunity for shading.
Okay.
So it's lots of contrast. So in this set of prints, to sort of compensate for that, you can use what, I'm not really sure what you call it, but it's like you leave some of the ink and you use that as shadowing and shading.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did in this one. So there's ink in the incised image area from the plate, but then also on the surface of the plate, and then you can remove ink. So I went back in and took out some areas like with a Q-tip.
Okay, so kind of making them the highlights?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, very cool. And lithography, you use limestone. Why, how come limestone is the preferred material? What makes it the best material?
The story about lithography was that it was sort of discovered by accident. It's one of the later sort of fine art printmaking techniques.
Yeah.
So it's more of a recent technique, and I don't know the exact dates, but maybe around the 1700s. And someone a printmaker sort of discovered the qualities of limestone by accident. And some story about him printing his like grocery list. And I think limestone is like, it's just because of how porous and water absorbing it is that it works. The one funny thing is that there's a limited supply of what they call lithographic limestone, so it's limestone without any imperfections, because a lot of limestone has fossils and other impurities which make it not suitable for printing. So we're actually running out of limestone for printmaking. There's only a couple quarries in the world. Like one of them I think is in Germany somewhere. So it's kind of a niche thing.
Oh, interesting.
But they have figured out lithography, like you can use different mediums. The process it's a similar concept, but you're not actually etching. So this set of prints is done, it's almost more like a silkscreen style. So we use acetate, like transparency sheets.
Okay.
And I just drew straight on a number. So these are multiple prints overlapping to do the colorization.
Okay.
So I would draw straight onto this, they call them pronto plates, but it's just a piece of acetate or vellum. Draw on it with a Sharpie, and then the same process of wetting and inking as with the limestone. Except you're limited in terms of like the mark making you can do with that process, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So similar processes, but the outcomes are very different.
Okay, very cool. So it sounds like you can't reuse limestone.
Yeah, so you're done your run of prints, or you can go back into it, you can work it, you can do another run of a different edition as many times as you want. The other interesting thing about the limestone is like as you're printing, you can't print continuously and have a run of 100 prints, because the limestone it starts acting kind of funny. It's sort of hard to explain. They kind of explain it as if it was alive.
Okay.
That it just starts taking on more and more ink, and so after around 10 prints, they start coming out darker and darker, and so you have to almost clean it off, close it up, open it up again. That's really technical stuff, and then run another set of prints. And then when you are done, you do a process where you actually scrape it right off.
Okay.
Through sanding, different grades of sanding to prepare the stone for another image.
Huh.
So these images, unless I remade a new stone, I can't print them again.
Okay.
Whereas the vitreography, I have the plates.
Okay.
So these could be printed again.
Right. And you just hang on to those if you thought you wanted to print
Yeah,
them.
and then if you're like a professional printmaker and you only want to run an edition with a set number, you can do what they call like canceling the image, and you can destroy the surface by doing an X and printing that to prove it.
Right.
that there is no more prints or something like that. I don't know.
Yes, a very permanent decision, I guess. If you just
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, very cool. I think that's all we have for today. Thank you so much for coming.
Okay, I
This
hope that
was-
made sense.
It did. It was very interesting. It's yeah, they're pretty complex processes. It's really cool to hear about them. Yeah.
Okay, my pleasure.
Thanks.